Good morning. Welcome to Unity on Demand, brought to you courtesy of the coronavirus. Otherwise, we would be meeting in person for our Sunday service. This week, we are starting a new 6-week series inspired by Susan Jeffers' book, Embracing Uncertainty. And I thought it was kind of interesting that this book was recommended to me by Doug Eagle, and Winley happened to pick a song today that called on Eagle's Wings. So one of those wonderful, delightful synchronicities of life. We are all certainly living in unusual times. Someone might even say there's a certain amount of uncertainty in it. And uncertainty is really a state of not knowing what the future holds in our own lives as well as in our world. That certainly describes the times that we're in today. Well, the other thing that the times we're in today is springtime is a time when we plant, and there's such a joy in taking seeds and planting them, even though we don't know exactly what is going to happen with that seed when it grows. We don't know exactly how large it's going to be, or if it's going to be a wonderful addition to whatever kind of garden that we might be planting. Daniel Nemeth wrote a song called Planting Seeds, and I think his performance of this with his musical partner Nemo just really could set the tone for this new series we're starting on today. So I would like to share that with you this morning, Planting Seeds.
Spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then, and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing
It's like your whole life you've been training for this moment, and when the time comes you just disown it, meaning you just surrender, don't control it, not interested in the clay pots and mold it, or sitting next to the path trying to unfold it, or waiting for the fruits to fall down toward you. Let it go and now you're flowing, feeling quite gorgeous, so you take steps away instead of towards it. What a rush, feeling freedom with nothing to hold. We've been taught that what you touch will always turn to gold, and now we're learning when we let it go it overflows, with no credit to take cause no credit is on. A higher power working deeper where the seeds are sowed, and when the seeds are true then they're seeds of gold. But the real gold is joy when life starts to flow, and when it does you just smile cause now you know. I spent a long time running, I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then, and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow.
When it grows, it grows.
Whatever dies will
and when it dies, it dies. Come on. If it works, it works.
Whatever flies will
let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
Fails will fail.
When it fails, it fails.
What's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow.
Let it grow, let it
whatever
grow.
Dies will die.
When it dies, it dies.
Whatever works will grow.
When it works, it works.
Whatever flies will fly.
Let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
Fails will fail.
When it fails, it fails.
To soar will soar.
Let it soar.
I am planting seeds
and nothing more.
wonderful song. I hope that touched your heart as much as it touches mine. We really are in this time of uncertainty, of not knowing anything about the future for our life. So I'm going to start out today with a simple reality check. Reality check number one is that there is nothing certain in life. Now, I want to ask you a question. When I read the title of the book that we're using for inspiration for the series, did you hear me saying erasing uncertainty or embracing uncertainty? Your mind sometimes plays tricks on what we'd really like to hear. There's a part of our ego that would really like to hear, let's erase all the uncertainty. Let's know exactly what's going to happen in our life and in our world. So just to really bring ourselves into reality, we're going to do an affirmation together. Just take a deep breath and go, I have no control over the future. I have no control over the future. Oh yeah, I have no control over the future. Which brings us to reality check number two. Let's take a deep breath, exhale, let it go. This is all good. You are off the hook. If we have no control, then we're not responsible for making sure the whole world runs correctly. And I mean, granted, doesn't sometimes it feel like we really think we should be able to control the whole world and make it all work just zippity-doo-dah and just all right there. But you know, there's that old thing about hitting your head against the brick wall. You're not making any progress, but you're causing a lot of hurt on yourself. It's the same way with us. When we think we have control, it's like hitting our head against a brick wall because we do not have control over life. There is nothing certain in life. And when we let it go, we let go of that delusion that somehow we can control everything. It's like stopping hitting our head against a brick wall, stopping hurting ourselves so that we could really move on and feel life, embrace life. And when we get to that point, comes to reality check number three. We have this ability, we give ourselves permission to live a really powerful life. First, a powerful life because we're giving up and saying it's all uncertain. Yeah, because what happens, we understand that there is only one power and presence in the world. We call it God the Good, knowing that God is in all situations. So though our human self like to call things good or bad, and we say we don't want only the good and none of the bad, knowing that God is in it all, that even when we call something bad, something that we don't want, that within it is a gift. When we give ourselves permission to realize, instead of resisting it, that there is a gift in there that's either going to help make us stronger, give us information for wisdom to make a decision at some time in the future that we haven't even dreamed about yet. It really shifts the way that we live. And we know that God has a gift in all this stuff for us. Then what happens is we can take on an attitude. And this is a great attitude. It's an attitude that says, bring it on, life, bring it on. I have a strength of wisdom within me that though I may not have the skills right now, I am able to learn the skills that I'm going to need. I am able to access whatever it is that I need to bring on whatever life can bring my way. I may not have it now, but I can grow into it. And when we get to that point, all of a sudden life becomes a great adventure. We get to enjoy it. We allow those unknown moments to enrich us and strengthen us in ways that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't had this opportunity, if we hadn't had this great adventure happening to us that is unscripted and we don't know about. I don't know about you, but during this time, I've been reading a lot of books and watching a fair number of movies. And one thing I've noticed, I don't go to the back of the book to see how it ends. I love the mystery of how it's all going to work out. Same way, I don't zoom to the end of the movie to find out how it ends. No, I start at the beginning and allow it to unfold. Life is the same way. In truth, we don't want a spoiler alert, because if we did, we might make different decisions and then we wouldn't have that experience, that rich experience in our life. So allowing ourselves to sit in wonder of life, not concern, but in wonder, just knowing that there is a gift, there is a presence of the divine, and that there's like a magic in it. Like even the little thing of Doug Eagle and recommending the book and Winley singing the song on eagle wings, on Wings of Eagle. There's a kind of joy as opposed to planning everything out so contritely to every little detail that kind of allows spirit to move there. And it just gives you a little chuckle, a little bit of wonder in that. Now, we live in a relative world, and when I talk about relativity, we like to judge things in comparison to something else. That this is nicer, this is less nice, this is taller, this is shorter, this is hotter, this is colder. Um, and this comes from our ego. This is really where we hold our lower self, our lower esteem, that part of ourself that has doubt, because it's always making judgments, it's always making comparisons. This is also where we hold a lot of the pain because we feel that we're losing something. It's where we have our doubts that we don't have the capabilities to do what we think it is that we need to do. It's really where our insecurity lies. But in this relative world, we also know that there's a spiritual self of us. And that spiritual connection that we have really ties us in to those qualities of love and of confidence and of an inner power, not a physical power necessarily, but that inner strength to do those things that are ours to do, and ultimately that deep inner sense of peace. So when we allow ourselves to recognize that there is this human self, this lower self, but also our spiritual self, and that we can really take on this attitude of bring it on, because we are strong enough, we are peaceful enough, we are loving enough to really take whatever life can bring to us. We get to be really kind of a life warrior, not in the sense of fighting against things, but the warrior as an adventurer going out there, as opposed to a worrier. And we can all worry a lot. We probably all have that skill down quite well. But it's really developed that whole thing about being that life warrior going out there. And if there's anything we have to fight, it'd probably be that we are our own worst enemy. All of us know behaviors that will help us. And all of us know that we don't always do them. In fact, our ego, our lower self, resist them so much that sometimes we even forget about them. And all of a sudden someone will go, oh, do you know this thing about meditation or about eating a certain way? And you go, oh, I'd forgotten all about that. That is that dichotomy that we live in with our higher self and our human self, our ego and our spiritual self. So anything we can do to help us really make that change of behavior, to make life more enjoyable, richer, and to make ourselves more comfortable in embracing life, even in its uncertainties, I think is helpful. And one of those ways is by doing exercises. One of them, an exercise that I find really powerful, is recognize that we all have hopes in our life, but hopes have a thing about maybe it will and maybe it won't, and in the won't is a lot of disappointment. But if we could take those things we hope for and turn them into wonder, I wonder what's going to happen. For example, right now, I will lay you odds that in your mind and heart, you have things that you hope for, that you hope you're going to see your loved one soon, that you hope you're going to get a new job or a new relationship, or you hope your garden's going to grow. Suppose you change that around and said, I wonder when I'm going to see my loved ones, or I wonder what is going to come in my garden and when they're going to come up. If we allow ourselves to be in wonder, we stop having this very scripted life that's really a setup for disappointments and sometimes disasters, because it doesn't meet our standards, it doesn't meet our script. Another exercise we can do in changing this idea of hope into wonder is look at what you might have on your agenda for today or for tomorrow. And know that if you say you're going to call so-and-so, in the back of your mind, there's an expectation of how this phone call is going to go. Or maybe you're going to be working on a project at home and you have an expectation of how the project's going to go. And instead of going, oh, okay, I have this phone call or this project, and I certainly hope it comes out this way. Suppose you reframed it in your head and said, oh, I wonder how that project's going to go. I wonder how that phone call is going to go. I wonder. We sit in that wonderful, that curious mind, what the Buddha used to call the teachable mind, that empty mind, that mind that allows itself to learn and to be surprised. Another great way, a great exercise to really take us out of this hoping that we can control our world, really is ultimately what hope is about in many cases, is when we start the day to simply go, I wonder what today is going to bring. I wonder what today is going to bring. And then at the end of the day, maybe take an inventory. And instead of going, oh, that didn't work out so well, just say, oh, that happened. And instead of having a drama about it. Oh, that was awful. How am I ever going to get out of this situation? I really messed up that project, whatever that might be. Saying, oh, so, okay, so that didn't, that has some work that still needs to be done on it. And I wonder how I'm going to work that out. So all of a sudden we take a lot of pressure off ourselves as we move from hope and expectations into that wonderment of life itself. There's another really great power within us, and that's the power of maybe. That's the power of maybe. You know, I sometimes think, especially these days, I don't know anything. I really don't know anything. I have some pretty good guesses, but I'm not really sure how it all works. And the good thing is, not only don't I know anything, but neither does anybody else. We're all guessing at things at this time. There's a Pulitzer Prize winner for quantum engineering, I think it was. Feynman, it was his name. And he said that science is a body of statements with varying degrees of certainty. And, we're living in a time where we listen to the experts, health professionals, economists, there we go. Doctors, scientists, all this, and they say things with such certainty sometimes, but in truth, they don't know for sure. This is what they know in this moment until they know something else. So understanding that none of us really know. We know what we know right now, but maybe it's right, and maybe it isn't. Our mortal eyes are very limited by what we see. We see with our five senses what's in front of us, and we don't see beyond that. When we take time in prayer, meditation, and close our eyes, we see a different vision, a little less limited by how things appear in the world, of how the problem was created. We get to see another dimension, perhaps, of it. But none of us have the ability or the scope to really understand the grand design, how all life forms in this universe work together, and how ultimately it's working together for good in the sense of a greater expression of life. So we give ourselves that realization, that another reality check, that we really don't know everything. We just know in this moment, and maybe it's right and maybe it's wrong. All of a sudden we can be a lot easier on ourselves by living in that maybe. That yeah, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. There's a story, maybe you've heard it before, another maybe, about this farmer who had a beautiful horse. And this was his pride and joy. And one day it got loose, it got lost. And his neighbors came by and they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you. What awful luck that you lost your horse." And the farmer goes, "Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't." And you know what? The next day, the horse came back, and with him, he brought a whole herd of wild horses that were out around the countryside. His neighbors said, "Oh my, what great luck you have. This is wonderful luck to all of a sudden have all these horses." And the farmer says, "Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't." Next day, his son goes out to try to break one of the wild horses so he can ride him. And the horse, certainly not used to having a human on his back, throws him, and the young man breaks his leg. Oh, the neighbors come out and they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you. What awful luck. This is awful luck that your son broke his leg. He can't help you on the farm now. He's going to be laid up for months. Just terrible, terrible luck." The farmer goes, "Well, maybe it is, and maybe it isn't." Well, then the next day, the country happened to be getting ready to go for war, and they came by all the farms to conscript the young men to go into service. When they got to the farmer's house, his son could not go because he had a broken leg. See, we never truly know. We may know something in this moment, but we don't see the grand design, that bigger picture of how things work. So maybe we're right and maybe we're wrong. And besides understanding the power of maybe, to understand that no one has all the answers except perhaps Jeopardy. They give you the answer and you have to guess what the question is. But all answers really are subject to change as we grow in understanding, as circumstances change. And I think that was one of the things that really drew me to Unity, was Charles Fillmore saying, "I reserve the right to change my mind." He understood how important it was for us, in order to get the richness of life, to have that pliable, that teachable mind, to have a mind that could be emptied, not stuck to beliefs. When we get stuck in a belief of certainty, all of a sudden we shut off all other possibilities. If anything, we've learned in these past 5 weeks of sheltering in place that there is no certainties, that we had no idea when we started this year where we'd end up now. But we do have an idea that there's something emerging. We don't have the answers to what it is, but we can work upon the tools within ourselves to really grow into it. So this is a world that is really asking us to be in wonderment, to wonder what's going on, not try to answer it, not try to make everything perfection. And in that wonderment, to learn ways to be grateful for all the things that are there. Just to share my screen with you here. There we go. So a spiritual practice for this week, let's bring my picture down here to really bring it on, is to really be in that exercise of wonder and maybe. Allow yourself to be curious, to wonder about life, and also allow yourself to know that things are maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe this is what's going to happen and maybe not. And it's all okay because God is in all things. So we're going to practice seeing the gift no matter what the situation is, whether ego is calling it good or bad. We're just going to see it, that there is a gift in there to make us stronger. To own the attitude, bring it all on. Come on, we can take it. We have within us whatever it is that we need. And to really take a deep breath and just live this great adventure called life. It's a wonderful gift that we've each been given, to really delve deep into it, to embrace it. Thank you. And speaking of embracing, celebrating our prosperity is something that we do joyfully each week. Life has gifted us in so many ways, and though we're not together to celebrate, we can do it energetically together, celebrating the many gifts that we've been given. And so many people within this congregation have done things to help, given of their gifts, shared, whether it's sharing for the food bank over at the Fledge, or donations that have come in to support the operations of this ministry, donating online or sending in checks. And of course, part of our gifts we're sharing with the Haven House this quarter, which they help families to work through not only this situation, condition, but any situation that might be coming up within their lives. So let us just take a moment to really close our eyes, to see beyond whatever is in front of us, to see that bigger vision of the gifts we've been given and the gifts that we are so lovingly sharing together. And we bless them. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give and all that I receive. I praise, give thanks, and am glad. Well, that's not all. We do have a third part of Unity on Demand, and that is our meditation. So I hope you'll join us for the meditation. And meanwhile, I'm going to put Planting Seeds back on so you can enjoy it once again.
Been a long time running. I never knew then what I know now. That the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds, nothing
It's like your whole life you've been training for this moment, and when the time comes you just disown it, meaning you just surrender, don't control it, not interested in the clay pots and mold it, or sitting next to the path trying to unfold it, or waiting for the fruits to fall down toward you. Let it go and now you're flowing, feeling quite gorgeous, so you take steps away instead of towards it. What a rush, feeling freedom with nothing to hold. We've been taught that what you touch will always turn to gold, and now we're learning when we let it go it overflows with no credit to take, cause no credit is zone. A higher power working deeper where the seeds are sowed. And when the seeds are true, then they're seeds of gold. But the real gold is joy when life starts to flow. And when it does, you just smile cause now you know.
I spent a long time running. I never knew then what I know now. Let the fruits, they always come in, but you can't go around just knocking them down. It takes a long time to show in. We plant the seeds then and we look at them now. But the roots are always growing, no matter if I'm there or never around.
Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly, whatever fails will fail, what's meant to soar will soar. I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will grow,
When it grows, it grows.
whatever dies will
And when it dies, it dies. Come on.
works will
If it works, it works.
whatever flies will
Let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
fails will
When it
fail.
fails, it
What's meant
fails.
to soar will soar.
When it soars, it soars.
I am planting seeds. Whatever grows will
Let it grow, let it
whatever
grow.
dies will
If it dies, it
whatever
dies.
works will
When it works, it works.
whatever flies
Yeah, let it fly, let it
whatever
fly.
fails will
If
fail.
it fails, it
What's meant
fails.
to soar will soar.
Let it
I
soar.
am planting seeds
And nothing more.
You know, when you smile,